So, you're curious about what we've been up to recently. Well, to say it's been an adventure of game-breaking proportions would be selling it short. So, we want to walk you through the Twin Peaks pillars that are essential to our brand and drive all of our marketing initiatives. Twin Peaks Girls. The Twin Peaks all-female waitstaff is considered the beautiful face of our brand. They represent the gold standard for the industry and are prominently featured in everything we do, from social media to Miss Twin Peaks. When guests think of Twin Peaks, the first thing that comes to mind is our friendly, attractive, and attentive Twin Peaks Girls. 29 Degree Draft Beer. The most unique and marketable aspect of the Twin Peaks brand is something every man can appreciate. Our signature 29 Degree Draft Beer. A claim no other restaurant can make. Served in perfectly frosted man-sized mugs, our rotating selection of fan favorites and in-house brews are the guest's trusted companion in victory or defeat. The Lodge Environment. It's no secret that when anyone visits a Twin Peaks restaurant, they're immediately transported to an environment reminiscent of the comfortable cabin in the mountains. With natural wood tones and tasteful taxidermy, guests feel the familiar warmth any lumberjack would expect when walking into their local lodge. Our Scratch Kitchen. Twin Peaks never bunts when it comes to our menu. Whether you're strapped for time and just need to satisfy your hunger with a quickie lunch, looking for a happy hour cocktail, or a delicious, fulfilling dinner, our guests can expect made-from-scratch menu items. The Twin Peaks Kitchen not only sets the standard for scratch food, but also makes innovation a priority. Our consistent innovations like the Smoker program are constantly pushing the culinary limits and are capable of satisfying the voracious appetite of any Axeman. Sports. Twin Peaks may be unique in its environment, but we have always been the go-to game day destination for every fan. Because when it comes to sports, there is no substitute. Our customers come to Twin Peaks for many reasons, and the ability to see several giant screens exclusively dedicated to sports from any seat is second to none. We are always looking to create new, exciting, and rewarding experiences for the guests who choose to watch the game with us. These brand pillars led us to the Lodge Mentality, a strategic brand campaign to remind every lumberjack, myself included, that Twin Peaks is more than just a sports lodge. It is the neighborhood destination where anyone can unapologetically indulge in all of their manly pursuits. Moving forward, we know that the Twin Peaks vision is to be a billion-dollar global brand with a cult-like following by the year 2029. Well, it is our goal to do everything in our power to continue elevating and strengthening the brand in order to achieve this vision. We want to inspire that inner lumberjack within everyone, from our internal teams to our guests, to embrace the Lodge Mentality. We will not stop, we will not fail, and we will not falter.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me in to join all of you and celebrate all of the successes that we had in Twin Peaks in 2021, as well as share why we are still a very strong option for anyone out there seeking to invest in casual dining in 2022 and beyond. Last year, we signed 9 new area development agreements, totaling over 50 new Twin Peaks lodges that'll be developed over the next few years, 24 of those internationally in Mexico. That brings our total in Mexico to 32 restaurants, 3 of which are open now. We opened 11 lodges. Last one we opened was in Amarillo, Texas. It's already doing close to 160 a week in AUV. We opened another restaurant in Mexico City just last week, again, totaling 3. We closed out the fourth quarter dominating our competitors in food quality, service, ambiance, beverage, and most importantly, intent to return, as reported by Black Box Intelligence. In spite of all the challenges associated with the pandemic and other disruptions, of course, that have occurred over the last couple of years, we ended 2021 15% higher for the same store sales as we did in 2019. We didn't stop there. We came out of the gate very, very quickly this year. Last Friday, we executed a 7-store area development agreement in Chicago that'll bring us to a total of 9 Twin Peaks lodges in Greater Chicago once those are developed. I anticipate the remainder of 2022 to continue, maybe be even better. My optimism for the future is tied to our commitment of our 5 brand pillars at Twin Peaks. And really, those represent the core of our culture. We already know we're not going to be everything for everyone. And, quite frankly, we don't have to. We've already demonstrated that what we're bringing to the marketplace has been well received, and it's generating huge profits for our franchisees. So we'll continue to focus on those 5 brand pillars and to be excellent in every one of those areas. That starts with our 29-degree beer. You want to serve the coldest, freshest, tastiest beer in the marketplace. You really have to install a best-in-class system. You've got to source a mug that you can freeze and it won't crack when you pour 29-degree beer into it. We stock as many as 2,000 mugs in some of our locations. And a Twin Peaks mug is only used once before it goes back into a specialized washing machine. And then it's got a 4-hour curing process before we freeze it again and it's available for its next use. The lodge environment, this design is, it's unique, and it surprisingly to me has very broad consumer appeal. When I first started here a year ago, one of my first trips was to South Florida to see our lodges that are down there. Several of our highest performing restaurants are located in Florida. And it's bizarre because they're filled with people in tank tops and flip-flops, and they're sitting under taxidermy, buffalo heads and caribou and elk, what have you. And now that's an experience that it's missing in a lot of markets around the country. And we want to bring that experience to every major market in the U.S. And abroad. Third is our Twin Peaks girls. They're highly trained. Getting one of those opportunities to serve on the floor, it's very, very competitive. But man, they really deliver. The Scratch Kitchen. Again, it's one of those elements that I think is it's a delight that most people aren't anticipating when they go into a sports lodge. But we have a made from scratch menu. We have grilled salmon, we have pot roast, we have flatbreads, we have blackened fish tacos. So it's not just burgers, wings, French fries, things that you can find at other restaurants in our competitive set. And then, of course, last but not least, we do our best to deliver an experience when you're watching sports like that of being in a stadium. Meaning, no matter where you sit in our store, we're trying to give you at least 5 different views of a large high-definition flat-screen TV. That way you don't have to turn around in your stool, you don't have to get out of your chair and crank your head to see one of the other games. You can see it from anywhere in our restaurant. As I alluded to earlier, I think one of the things that's been really surprising for me is how broad the appeal is. The target customer for a restaurant like this is clearly, men and men who love sports. And the lion's share of our customers are men. But I walk through a lot of our stores around the country. I see families. I see groups of women eating, drinking, cutting up. There are markets that I've gone into where it's more families than anything, from infant to toddler, all the way up to grandma and grandpa. It's been really, really interesting in that regard. We brew our own beers. We brew 4 different Twin Peaks beers here in Irving, Texas. We have our Drop Dead Redhead. We have a Dirty Blonde. We have a Naughty Brunette. And then we offer a Twin Peaks Light. In addition to that, we have a premium liquor program called Grandpa's Stash. It's a specially curated menu. It's available on request, where our guests can choose from premium bourbons such as Blanton's, Weller's, E.H. Taylor, Russell's Reserve, many more. We also offer premium scotch, whiskeys, and tequilas. In some of our markets, we have cigar bars in our restaurants. And there we have our own branded cigars, as well as Cohibas, Macanudos, Padrones, things that you could buy around the country, and other offerings. We added 2 restaurants in 2021 that offer Swing Suite golf simulators. We plan to open several lodges in the Las Vegas market that will offer limited gaming and hookah bars. So a little bit about the history of Twin Peaks. I came here after nearly 17 years in hotel development. And I couldn't be happier to be the beneficiary of Randy DeWitt and Scott Gordon's innovation back in 2005 when they launched Twin Peaks, the first store back in Lewisville, Texas. In less than 10 years, Twin Peaks was dubbed America's fastest growing restaurant chain by Bloomberg and #1 by Knapp-Track in 2017. The addition of Joe Hummel and his team in late 16, early 17 really proved to be the tipping point for the brand. We tripled in value without adding a single incremental location. That's just driven by, same store sales. And then late last year, Fat Brands came calling. They gobbled us up and added us to their portfolio of 16 brands. Fat's acquisition of Twin Peaks offers us an opportunity to create and achieve greater efficiency and buying power. It also gives us an opportunity to get greater brand awareness, particularly on the West Coast, where Fat is headquartered and where we lack any meaningful distribution at all. Also like to add that although our system produced AUVs just under 5 million, a couple of years ago, our last 7 openings are producing gross revenues exceeding 6.5 million. So we've come a long way in just the last couple of years. The prevailing thought from executive leadership is that we're pulling all the right levers down here in Dallas to reach our full potential. The new owners at Fat, I think they want to ride this wave as long as possible and not introduce any disruption that would kind of tip things over. So we're going in the right direction. We continue to do so. This is what our footprint, our distribution looks like. As of today, we have 88 stores in total. 85 of those are domestically. The other 3 are in Mexico City. You can see there is a lot of room for significant growth in the United States. We only have 2 stores on the West Coast and none in the Northeast. We're right now negotiating with a reputable group in Los Angeles. We're also hosting a group for a Discovery Day week after next from New Jersey. And that's to bring our brand into these high barrier markets where we have room to thrive. Those are also areas where the greatest density is and where we just haven't really dipped our toes in the water. I made a commitment to Joe that I would do 40 new incremental Twin Peaks lodges in 22. We're on track right now to open between 18 and 22. I think our next opening will be Columbus, Georgia, followed by Kansas City, and then Beaver Creek, Ohio in Q2. I would also like to point out that the majority of these openings are second-generation buildings, where we or our franchise partners are acquiring existing buildings and repositioning that box to meet our design standards. Let's talk a little bit about taking a second-gen building and converting it into a Twin Peaks. As you can see here, this is an old TGI Fridays in Burleson, Texas. This was one of their smaller prototypes that they brought out to test. I think it was 4,500 square feet. We added 1,100 square feet, put on a patio. We opened this, I think, in October, November of last year. Came out of the gate really strong and continues to do so. Our last corporate opening, was a former On the Border in Amarillo, Texas. Fairly large building, very busy intersection. I tell you what, man, we turn the lights on there and that thing is doing on average 160,000 a week. And it's only been open for a month. I think we opened it the week before Christmas just for lunch. I think they did close to 30,000 by the time they added dinner. It was bananas. Here's another TGI Fridays in Knoxville, Tennessee. This just gives you a good idea of what we're capable of doing with really any building. This is a pretty benign, vanilla-like building here in Knoxville. And Paul Stevens, who runs design and construction for us, came up with a really creative plan to give us that look and feel for a lodge. You can see that there on the right. We did a Johnny Carino's. This is a corporate store down in San Marcos, Texas. You can see we kept a lot of these elements in the Carino's. We just added the big cantilever roof here and the wood, obviously the big Twin Peaks sign, created a patio. So that's really just a look at what we've been doing with some second-gen buildings. We're capable of taking just about anything where we feel like we can get maybe 6,000 to 8,000 square feet. That means even adding square footage to a building if we need to. But we never stop innovating at Twin Peaks. As any of our customers can attest, we're always enhancing our menu to meet the desire of our customers. We're trying to do the same thing with the building, and try and create greater margins for our franchisees. Again, our D&C team is led by Paul Stevens. We're always continuing to look for ways to enhance that experience, and at the same time, keep the cost in check and keep that as low as possible. So keep your eyes open. You'll start to see some of these new design elements pop up in markets near you. In my experience, you're really only as good as your franchisees and your customers say you are. And I couldn't be more proud to be associated with a brand that is so highly thought of across the board, especially our franchise partners. Our Arizona licensees, they already have 4 stores in the greater Phoenix area that are doing around $150,000 a week on average. And they added 3 more locations to their development agreement last year. They just broke ground on their 5th lodge in Arizona. It's a 10,000 square foot former claim jumper in North Phoenix. Our franchisee, Paul Corey, up in Kansas City, he'll be opening his 6th Twin Peaks next quarter. And then Victor Ansara, who we work with up in Michigan, it's starting construction on his Twin Peaks Lodge in Auburn Hills, and he continues to look for additional sites there in greater Detroit. Kind of last but not least, if there are any developers out there contemplating, their next big adventure, we're seeking seasoned multi-unit investor operators with a desire to build out a territory ranging from 3 to maybe as many as 15 locations. The capital required to develop one of our restaurants is going to range probably between $2 and $3 million for a conversion, maybe 5 to 7 for a new build store. Obviously, those figures are way fluid based upon supply chain, labor, materials, and how greedy, I guess, the landowner is. We can get a conversion up in less than 4 months if everything goes according to plan, and inside of 9 months for a new construction at Twin Peaks. Again, just depending on the jurisdiction, backlog, and all the other variables associated with new development. I appreciate your time. If there are any questions, I would ask that you send them in to either John or myself. John handles all our international franchise development. I handle our domestic franchise development. We would be happy to get back to you with answers to any of those questions. Thanks again.